Hey everyone, in today's video we're wrapping up the cosmetic work on the totaled Audi A3. So since the hatch and the bumper were damaged, we had to get the replacements that you can see right here, and they are totally not dented and definitely the same color as the car. Now, something to note is that in some states, you do need to get the VIN of the car that you got the parts from, but I'll get into that in more detail in a future video. So here's what we did to install these back on the car. Before installing the new hatch, it's really important to check and see if it's actually all the same inside. As it turns out, there were differences in the harnesses and in the module you can see here, so we swapped those over from the original hatch onto this one. So because the replacement hatch was a different spec from the one on the car, the rear window has a connector that goes to 2 pads on the window, while the damaged one went to 3. So we're going to try to swap the connector onto this window by desoldering the wires and swapping the connectors. It also turned out that all the harnesses had to be swapped over in our case because they were just a little bit different, and that included one of the modules. The third brake light was also swapped over. Even the window washer motor fluid connector is different, with the new hatch having a locking connector and the old one didn't. A lot of these differences are because the new hatch is off a facelifted A3. Also, when you get parts, make sure they're the same color. This looked right in the pictures, but turned out to be a dark gray. It's pretty close though, so it's not a huge deal for us. So here I'm removing the connector off the original hatch, just applying heat with a soldering iron, and then gently pulling when it melts so it can pull the wire out. And that's it, just repeat that for each pad. And with that done, we're going to try to put it on the other one. There we go. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the old connector on the new glass, and in the process, I managed to damage the traces. Fortunately, I was able to get the old connector back on, so I don't know if it was because of my technique or the materials, but I'm going to have to fix the traces. I did get a kit to repair these traces, and so far it seems to have worked. The way the repair kit works is you mask off the trace on either side, and then you apply the compound, and then you let it dry a little bit, and before it dries completely, you remove the masking tape so it doesn't chip off when you peel it off. Then you repeat that 2 more times to get a couple layers, and then it should work. Now with the hatch sorted out, it's time to get it back on the car. The first step is to install the weather stripping, which we had removed to work on the crash damage. If you end up with waviness, make sure you go around the whole seal to make sure nothing's stretched or not pushed into place completely. To get the hatch back in, make sure you have an extra set of hands to help you out, and then place the hinges in the same position to make it easier. There's a stud on each hinge that will slot into a hole in the roof of the car, and you might have to wiggle the hatch to align it properly. Yes, on this side, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Here I'm starting the hatch's retaining nuts by hand. After that, we reattached the struts to the body of the car so we didn't have to hold the hatch up. And then I tightened up the nuts that secure the hatch. With the hatch reattached, we can feed the harnesses through the body so we can reconnect them. Before testing if the hatch aligns properly, we remove the hatch striker. The striker does have some adjustment we can use since the structure isn't quite as straight as it was from the factory, but things do look like they're aligned pretty well. It might be a little to this side.
It's a little. It's up on both sides.
Okay.
It's not latched.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
That's that half-inch, quarter-inch. We weren't able to pull it up.
We can put an extra seal there. Because, I mean, I don't think we could. Well, one, we don't have anything else to push with.
Yeah.
And two, I don't think we could push any farther.
Yeah, that's true.
And we can't pull these in anymore. The adjustability is here.
It's tight here, but really this guy. I mean, hey, it's good enough for Tesla. It's good enough for us. Right?
This is actually better than Tesla.
It looks to be spec over there. So this is just from this being pushed in.
Right. So I don't know if we could do much that would affect it in a positive. Like we could.
Yeah, because up top this is all the same cross.
Yeah, we could futz with it for hours and probably still not get it right.
I mean, there's just a little bit here.
Let's see. Push that again. Yeah, it's not going to close it completely.
No,
but a little bit of extra weather stripping will close it.
Yeah.
That's about the best we can do. All right, let's take the striker.
You know which way it goes?
Yeah.
Top.
I think I'll put it back where it was previously. Let's have that. Ready?
There's still a tiny bit over here.
Oh yeah.
It seems to be lined up.
That's fine. That was just
Oh,
residual glass pieces from the original window.
Yeah.
It's lined up.
It's good. These are the seals we added to fill in the gap. So there's two parts. They just stick on to the metal and they run from here to here. And they fill everything up here and seal nicely where we weren't able to pull this all the way out. So it works really well, and it's pretty much it's invisible when the car's closed, and it's really not that visible when it's open. So it worked out. Next step, let's get the bumper back on. This is mounted back in. It's the bracket that holds both the bumper and the taillight. We're gonna put the taillight back in.
It just supports the taillight usually. Can you look on that and see what it is?
Oh, take that, unscrew that, yeah.
Wow. I am smart.
This?
Okay. That's not the best gap on earth, but...
It's not snapped into the holes here.
Oh.
You want to check? There's two. See the two?
Yeah, now it is, and it ain't great.
Well, it's because there's a dent in the side over there.
Yeah, and you can see, look, it was... There it is.
We did run into some issues fitting this tail light because of the crash damage there, but in the end, with some adjustment, we were able to get it in. Another thing to note is that we used facelift taillights instead of the same generation taillights, so there are a few differences there too, which shouldn't be a factor really. The differences are more aesthetic and electrical. Right here's the replacement subwoofer we got because the original one was torn. It's reinstalled. And since we pulled and pushed out the pushed in part here, it fits. I'll show you the original one. Was literally ripped open in the crash. So now with all that done, another bumper we can put on. Oh no, we have to do the foam first for the actual bumper structure, and then the internal supports. Once your foam is secured to your crash bar, unless it was already secured as you installed a new crash bar, you can put in the support here, and then attach the bumper mount, which will go the hole here and here. Now, I'm using a 10mm on a wobble socket.
So, pro tip,
You could put a little bit of
any kind of grease.
multi-purpose grease inside your socket. It doesn't fall out. And the reason we're using this grease trick is so that the nut doesn't fall out while reaching into the bumper. Down here, under here, there are 4 studs that you have to mount structure that will bolt in here and here on the bumper. We'll be mounting these, and we're putting this side towards the car, and the part that goes outwards is going to the outside of the car. Alright, let's try seeing this lined up. These go in here?
Yeah.
We had a little bit of trouble hooking the bumper in on the crash side, but after a few tries we got it.
I think we're gonna have to push the trim tool and slide this up. Oh,
No, we might still because if it doesn't go in. Well, this side's not going to go in as well.
yeah.
It might go. Well, this is.
Let's see.
How this looks.
What? That's just the nature of what it is.
Yeah. That's pretty good still.
But, I mean, these are. Ooh, that's a gap.
Yeah.
That's a gap.
Always going to be a little wonky.
Well, that's the whole point. It's a yard car.
Yeah. We could move where it latches. You can have it latch a little further down.
Oh, we never thought about that because the latch just.
So here I have to open hatch from the inside because the latch handle isn't powered because the harnesses aren't connected yet. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. You know what? Let me do something.
It's the other harness that has the latch power.
Oh, I think.
Yeah, put it down all the way.
I think you did.
Because there's a gap here, move the latch in down a little bit so that the trunk will close a little closer. little tighter.
I ain't mad at that. I'm not.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really not mad at it.
It's really just here, which makes sense because the impact was here. But you can see that. But on this side, it's really good.
Yeah, but
bumper mounts nice. Same thing on the other side. The main purpose of this car is going to be to pull cars around the yard that aren't running, and get them into the bottom of the driveway to pull them into the garage, but also to run and pick up parts, because it's going to be the most fuel efficient car we have access to by a good bit. Though the Beetle might be on par. Not even.
that's 5-cylinder.
Yeah, but
The 7K is not super cool.
the last step of mounting the bumper, once you've done the 2 screws that go underneath, is 3 screws on each side in the wheel well. So, get that done, that's the bumper installed. It's actually pretty straightforward. And later on, we got some dents to pull out of here, on the sides, and yeah.
Wait till you see the interior.
Yeah. Now, before we wrap up the rear of the car, you'll probably remember we had a huge dent right here. We're definitely not done with it, but we were working under a time crunch to get the car to salvage inspection. But it is a huge improvement over what it was before. So here's how we did it. So we have a pretty big dent here from, well, it's not clear if it's from the accident or not, but this is hot glued on with a PDR tool, and then this is a slide hammer that hooks on. So the slide hammer will try to knock it out. I see that it came up a little, but
It did.
that seemed to have come up.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. While we have a pretty complicated dent further back, this one's pretty simple and we're going to use a pretty standard dent puller on it. We're going to hook on the puller to a pulling tab that's glued to the center of the dent, tighten it down, and then when we pull on the lever, it should pull the dent out and the glue will partially release. You can slide that in if you want, since that's a tray.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay out of the dent though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lip under it. Okay, it just came up. That's good. Yes. Wow, that's like, you could barely feel, you can kind of barely see that there's a, it was much bigger. It was like this size before.
Yeah. And we can do more with the other thing we have if we wanted
The smaller one, yeah. Paintless dent repair is all about patience, and you want to work little by little so you don't make any mistakes. That's why for the rear dent, we're going to work from multiple points, a little bit at a time. There's a crease forming here and here, and also one here. We put on a small tab here and another rail here that hooks on.
I think we should probably walk over.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to pulling this. I'm going to pull this and then I'm going to pull that. Okay. certainly pulled this out.
Yeah. So after doing pulling here, here, a little bit here, and up here, it's really improved a lot. It's not totally perfect, but it's a huge improvement. So now I'm gonna work on this crease to try to pull that out. Do this here and then here. Hopefully that'll be a bit smoother. I'll be good for now. There's still little dents here, and rework this area later on. But for now, it's a big improvement. Just be down far enough to hook on it. Tightening a bit.
Oh no, I pulled it out.
Yeah, definitely.
We just gotta get down there now.
To remove any hot glue that stays stuck to the car, you can spray it with some isopropyl alcohol, and that helps get it off. Yeah, it came up a bit. So this is the result. It's not finished, but what's important to note is that these bumps here are actually a result of the dent or the panel being pushed in far enough that it hit the internal structure, and that's why it's all raised up here. Now, if you look at the body line now, it does dip a little bit here, but this can, later on, we can knock this down and really smooth it out a little more. But for now, this is really good. Good result. And here's a quick reminder of what we started with. It's a really big difference. With the rear end done for now, we can take a look at the front end. We pulled the bumper off to take a look, and here's what we found. The plastic frame around the radiator was damaged, maybe from being moved around at Copart, or maybe during towing. It could also be from the accident too, since we saw the bumper was pulled out. The horn mount broke off from here too. And the other side is similar, with the horn mount also broken off. Otherwise, it's in pretty good shape. A couple repairs on the bumpers, had to reattach some, re-weld some tabs in. This one. And then down here, this bottom screw bracket is broken, that'll be repaired. So right here, the washer fluid hose is cracked here, so it leaks. So I'm gonna attach it to the right angle part here with silicone tape, and hopefully that'll seal it well. The first step in repairing this was to use staples, which are heated up and melt the plastic on either side. As you can see, they're throughout here and here, and then this is the part that broke off that holds the horn in place. So you can see a lot of them in there. And then the next step with this is to reinforce over this with plastic welding, and that'll fill up the gap and then really fill this out. And then fill this out. Same thing on the other side. On this side, it was only the horn mount that was damaged. And so same thing, staples, and then go over it again with plastic welding. So, yep. This here is the right angle that was damaged on the hose side, and this is silicone self-sealing tape that I wrapped around a couple times. This cures in about 24 hours, so tomorrow I'll test it out. And it supposedly is rated up to 700 psi, so if I did it right, it will work. The horn's hanging here for now, but it will screw in here, and same thing on the other side. And this is what things look like with the plastic welding done. So it's all filled up, The horn's mounted on, and it's a lot stronger than with just the staples. And over here on the other horn, it's the same thing, and now it's secured in place. And with the front end damage dealt with, we put the bumper back on, the headlights back in, and that's the exterior work done for now. Now at this point, some people might say, car looks good, let's just get it back on the road, we're done. But we want this car to be reliable, and we don't want any hidden surprises, so let's go take a look underneath. Well, let's take a little trip underneath the car, underneath the Audi. This here is a replacement one because the original was completely loose. And here's what it looked like. It was really bad. We kept the original bushing in here, but we're probably going to add in the bushing reinforcer. You peek up here. Can't see because it's dark, but the turbo's in there. This is the oil level sensor, which will be getting replaced because it has a failure. And this here is covered in oil because the vacuum pump up top is leaking. So we're gonna reseal that later on. When we got the car, because of it being rear-ended, these had popped out. This exhaust mount had popped out. So we're able to get that, and it was rattling, so we were able to get that back in. But otherwise, you know, we've got a cat, we've got pretty normal looking everything right now. We got a stock exhaust. There's a little surface rust here. A little bit on the back, not bad. But there's something interesting when we get back here is these spring spacers. I don't know why they're in here, but they reduced the spring travel. Now, these are normally loose and super loose. Why would you have some of these? Well, one reason could be to, you know, you're trying to reduce spring travel, so maybe they had different wheels on it. I mean, it doesn't particularly look like it was lowered. I mean, the struts look normal, though I don't know why that's rubbing here. And then on the other side, looks okay. So, I don't know, it's possible that, you know, there's multiple reasons this could be installed. It could be because it had bigger wheels on it at some point. I mean, considering it has an intake and it seems to pop a fair bit on the exhaust, it could have a tune. That might explain it. Maybe it had bigger wheels at one point. Or maybe someone who owned it loaded up the car a lot, and to avoid bottoming out on the rear wheels, put these in. I mean, I guess. So I'm gonna take these out because I don't need them, and it's not really what you want. So I'm gonna go get some tools and take these out of here. So this looks like both of these nuts are 14, so I'm gonna try to see if I can loosen this to bring this nut down. Now, if you've watched my Volvo video, when I took the intake off, I bought a set of itty bitty wrenches, and it looks like it's coming in handy again. So now I got a little more room to work in here. And the idea is, I think, if I can slide this, oh, that bolt's turning in the void. Okay, if I can run down the bolt in the second half, this piece will be able to drop. I can angle it out of the way, pull it out, and then slot this out. There's one other possibility as to why these are installed. If these springs are worn out for some reason, maybe they offset that, but all I know is that whatever the case is going to affect the ride, so I'm going to try to get this sorted. Yeah. Okay. Now I just have to do that again on the other side. All right. This one's easier. Wow, I can actually go by hand here. A treat. Yay! Wow, that was a lot easier. Okay. Good work. And that's it for this video. Next time we're getting into the engine bay, so be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss that. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.